solid evidence.
Now, one of the things that the book talks about is they talk about aliens to Indiana, and they're not talking about UFO aliens. They're talking about animals that are alien to Indiana actually showing up in the state. It's estimated there's about 4,500 exotic species, which means that, again, they're alien. They're non-native to the United States. Now, in Indiana, there's actually 34 exotic species in Indiana. 23 of them are fish. And when I read them, you're not going to believe what some of them are. 9 birds and 2 mammals. Listen to these. Man, the fish, the exotic fish and the alien fish in Indiana. The alewife, the carp. The carp is not native to Indiana.
It's Asian.
The round goby, which we already know because we
used to go perch fishing.
We catch the hell out of them when you perch fish on Lake Michigan. You take them and you're supposed to throw them on the rocks and let them die because there's so many of them. The brown trout is not native to Indiana.
Really?
The Chinook salmon,
really,
which is here. Coho salmon.
Can't believe cohos aren't.
Those are alien
those
species.
Those are also known as rainbow
goldfish, rainbow smelt, rainbow trout, also known as steelhead, are not. Treadfin shad, Atlantic salmon. Shad. Bighead carp, grass carp, the red shiner, the sea lamprey, the striped bass.
Really?
3-spined stickleback.
I think I know what that is.
White catfish, the rudd, the inland silverside, the striped mullet, white perch, silver carp, piranha. There are piranha that sculpt the waters of Indiana. Of course, they're not native; they're from South America. The pacu.
Really?
They're arowana.
They're both in.
They found them in lakes here in Indiana. I mean, you guys that are listening, you know we did a show on them from the Amazon not too long ago. So, yeah.
In like Lake Michigan.
Like in the rivers and lakes around, they've been found big ones. Probably for people to let them go. They get so big, they don't want to feed them anymore.
Pacu? Do you have a pet pacu ever?
I guess somebody must have.
Oh, remember we went to that aquarium place and the pacu was like this big?
Yeah, so they do have them.
Yeah.
People probably just get tired of paying to feed them, which I think is kind of crazy.
Do you guys know what dogfish are?
Dogfish, yeah.
My dad got skin ripped off from it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bit him.
Tried to catch one?
I caught it. He pulled it off his hand.
Where was that
at? Somewhere in Hammond.
Was it in Lake Michigan?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know.
Well, they also say that bull sharks, bala sharks, tinfoil barbs, oriental weatherfish, and tiger oscars are also found in Indiana. Mm-hmm. And those are all native species. So that's kind of cool. Birds, talking about alien birds to Indiana. European starlings, house sparrows, rock doves, Eurasian collar doves, Eurasian tree sparrows, house finches, mute swans, ring-necked pheasants.
Really?
African cattle egrets, emus.
Emus they're not in.
They must be. The emu is the second largest flightless bird, and it's native to Australia.
Yeah.
But apparently
how are you going to get it from Australia?
I don't know, but
the largest one's the ostrich. Second largest is the emu.
Apparently, they have been spotted in the wild in Indiana somewhere. So, I don't know exactly how that worked out. If they run a farm or something and they got loose, but yeah, they've been. So, and the mammals are Sweden's house mouse, the Norway rat, the wild boar, the red deer, and the tiger dog or Coatimundi.
Oh, really?
But that's the sighting of that was back from November of 1903, so nobody's too sure about that one. But yeah, so and then we want to talk about the ABCs that are called alien big cats, and alien big cats are basically large cats like tigers and lions and things like that that are alien to Indiana that have been spotted here. Now, most people in Indiana, when they see a big cat, they say, I saw a big cat, and it's actually a cougar, but a cougar is not
a big cat
considered a big cat. So most of those sightings of big cats in Indiana are of cougars.
I see a cougar. I see cougars all the time. I see a cougar right now in the library.
There's probably a few here. Of course, Xanman's after him. He likes the cougars.
Oh yeah.
So.
Just like Fluffy Girl. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel.
Fluffy Girl likes the male cougars. So.
Right. She likes the juggalos too, but she doesn't like to express that factor.
What are the big cats? You know what they are?
I can guess bobcat for sure. Mountain lion.
No.
Really?
Jaguars, leopards, lions, snow leopards, and tigers.
No.
Yep, those are the big cats. All the other ones are not technically considered big cats.
Wait, are those the big cats found in Indiana?
No. These are ones that are.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
When we were talking about big cats, but they actually say the ones that are actually only classified as big cats are those right there. So that's the thing that. But what they're saying is that most of the time when people say they spotted big cats in Indiana, it's usually like a cougar. Another thing too that I wanted to mention is a lot of people say they spot panthers. This doesn't necessarily pertain to Indiana, but panthers aren't actually a real animal.
I knew that. They're mutated.
Panther is not an actual real animal. The term black panther has no actual scientific meaning. There is no such animal that exists. A black panther refers to a leopard or a jaguar whose black coat results from melanism. It's an excess of melanin or dark pigment in their skin. Mm-hmm. So a panther is actually just basically a black leopard or a jaguar.
Which is what I am.
Which one?
Both.
You're both?
But neither at the same time.
Yeah. So you're definitely a cryptid?
Yep.
That's for sure.
Hey, I am Bigfoot. Probably one of the only 7th graders to have size 15 shoe.
That's true. If anybody was gonna do some fake Bigfoot hoax feet, it would be the Xanman. That's for sure.
I'm 15 inches long. My feet, nasty.
Disgusting.
Dirty minds.
Something else discovered in Indiana that you didn't know: freshwater octopus.
I did know that. We talked about this. It's when the octopids believe that as they grow with age, they start to develop like dementia, quote unquote dementia, which is, as you may or may not know, it's a disease where elderly people will start to lose their brain function due to brain cell death, and so they will apparently lose that idea and they will leave their natural ecosystem, and they have been found swimming up rivers and then dying in those rivers, and then people find them like washed up on shores.
And that's one of the theories how they think that octopus, who are exclusively saltwater animals, wind up in the freshwater lakes and rivers of the. But how they get way up in, they must be able to live in freshwater for a long time to get way up into Indiana. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, one of the cases of this was on November 21st, 1999, in Falls of Ohio State Park in Clarksville, Indiana. It's right across the Ohio River from Louisville. A tourist found a small octopus. It was it was dead, but it was not decomposed. It was freshly dead. It was lying on the fossil beds there. And the fossil beds date back to the Devonian period of the Paleolithic era, which ended about 354 million years ago. So they believe that the octopus they found was either a Caribbean armstripe or a bumblebee two-stripe octopus. Also in 1954, a live octopus with 2-foot tentacles was pulled from a creek near Grafton, West Virginia. It died soon after, but it was alive. So it was living in a creek, and it was obviously a larger one. It had 2-foot tentacles. So, I mean, it was either close to death, like you talked about, from swimming upriver, or it was some kind of an octopus that had adapted to living in fresh water. They don't really
which
know
is
for
also
sure.
possible. If you know anything about the anatomy of bull sharks, which you may not know, bull sharks are able to live in inside fresh water and water. They're the only shark that can do this. And fresh and salt water is because they have a special gland that in their gills regulates how much salt they take in and how much salt they put out. And so if this can be discovered in some octopi, that would be pretty fabulous.
That would be cool. So maybe that's how maybe they've adapted a gland like that.
Maybe there's a new species of octopus that actually have that, just like sharks. I mean, just like the bull sharks. The bull shark's the only kind.
So they don't just live in brackish water; they live in full fresh water and full salt water.
They could live in full fresh water, brackish water, and salt water.
Well, that's cool. Well, the other thing that I thought was neat, they talked about were something called oil pit squids.
I wonder what they do.
Well, this is kind of weird, though. It's called, back in the 1900s, cars were a big thing. They were starting to... Yeah. So, GM had a plant in Delphi, Indiana. When all the other plants were closing down, this plant actually stayed open. So, and on November 15th of 1996, the employees there were actually cleaning out what was one of their sludge pits at the plant. And they found 6 to 8 inch squid-like creatures with tentacles and eyes. Now, a sludge pit is a pit that's basically filled with antifreeze, oil, paint stripper, and something called polyol. It's a chemical used to make plastic bumpers. And these things were like living and thriving and breeding in this stuff. Now, in March of '97, the Indiana Department of Environmental Management got a report of hazardous waste in the Delphi plant. So the report confirmed that a creature of unknown origin or type was found at the plant, living in these sludge pits.
Do you know what I think could have been possible? Since there was hazardous material, is it possible that there is a squid that got caught in there, a squid of some sort, or an octopus that was there in this, whatever it was called, sludge pit, and it got exposed to that hazardous material and then was thereon able to thrive in the sludge pit?
Whatever it was, it must have been not able to thrive, but it also must have been able to breed. There had to be more than one. I guess, unless it was somehow able to,
Immaculate conception.
What do they call that when they...
Asexually produce?
Yeah, like the reptiles that we talked about before,
the
amphibians.
Conception.
Yeah, so, but anyway, there was like hundreds of them, I guess. But when the Department of Environmental Management came back, this whole place had been cleaned out and none of these things were left. So apparently the plant didn't want the news that they had toxic waste on their property that was causing these animals to mutate, so they just ditched them all. I don't know.
So they didn't even let there be a new species?
I guess not. You'd think they would have turned them over to scientists and said, hey, check this out, what's going on, but they were just all gone. So they'd even taken one of the employees even taken one and put it in a jar to keep it and put it in their office, and that one was gone too. It did disappear. So that will remain an unknown mystery. So the only other thing I wanted to talk about were two things. Something called the NAPES. Actually, it's a term that was coined, and it means North American ape. Some people think that they're talking about Bigfoot when they say this, but it's actually not. It differs in certain critical respects from the classic Bigfoot or Sasquatch. The napes actually leave ape-like footprints with opposable big toes on their feet, like apes have, an opposable thumb, resembling the thumb of a human. And Bigfoot do not. Obviously, when they walk, they have human-like feet with, a foot and 5 toes and no opposable. We have our opposable thumbs in our hands. Well, apes have them in all 4 feet. So, let's see. They said they've had sightings of these in Boone, Harrison, and Monroe counties. And in January of 2002, there was a sighting in Lake Monroe at the Hardin Ridge Recreation Area. Most of the reports have no details